course. I'm glad. I'm excited. This is taking my mind off of moving right now. My room is in a mess right now.
Really?
So I'm looking here, not over there. So it's good. I'm glad to be here.
And you're moving to LA, right?
Yeah, for the time being, it's really like I kind of feel when I was thinking about this podcast and stuff, I feel like I'm rebuilding the beast now because I'm kind of moving on from this point in my life. So I'm going to LA for about 2.5 months and then coming back to Connecticut, gonna get my stuff. And I think I might be moving to New York, but there's so many what ifs going on. So it's like I could have to stay out in LA longer, maybe shorter, maybe go to a different country. It kind of depends on how stuff goes. So it's very freaky because I'm used to having control over what I'm doing. And right now I'm at a point where it's like I kind of just have to see where things take me right now.
That's so important to be able to be flexible. The biggest thing right now, one of the things that, or the reasons why I started this, is because last year I had this weird feeling where I felt a little helpless because of everything that was going on. I was like, man, like where are our leaders?
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a state I usually like to be in, is a state of like, wow, I can't do anything. So I was like, okay, what is one thing I can do to help people, help kids, help anyone out there understand that, these tough times that we're going through as a people is normal, right? It's abnormal because it's corona, it's a once in a
Mm-hmm.
lifetime event, but challenges are normal. And so when we can normalize that, we don't really need more positivity. We need more stories of resilience. And those kind of stories will help people understand that if you keep fighting through, I call it rebuilding the beast, but that perseverance that it takes to rebuild yourself, it's tough, it's hard, but there's beauty on the other side. So I'm so excited to get into your story. You're most known for Miss Teen 2019,
Yes.
right? I am learning a little bit. I've done my research a little bit, so I'm learning about the pageant world. But you have to explain it to me. What does that mean?
So Miss Teen USA is one of the biggest organizations for teen competitors. It stems from the Miss Universe organization, which is one of the biggest pageants in the world. And they also have Miss USA, and every other country is all under Miss Universe. And so, of course, growing up, there are other organizations that girls and boys can go to learn many life skills. That's what I feel like I've gained most from pageantry is being able to communicate, public speak, be interviewed, and how to be more confident within myself while also having fun and then having that bit of competition there as well because I think I'm a competitive person, but like when it comes to board games, I'm cheering for everybody else because I'm terrified of being in competition. So funny that I do pageants, but Teen USA is one of the highest titles that you can win as a teen between the ages of 14 and 18, I believe it is. And basically, you compete at your state level. If you win your state level, you go to the national level. So I competed for the first time in the Miss Universe organization at the Connecticut pageant, and I happened to win, which was really cool. Pageantry in Connecticut is really small. So I competed against 8 other girls. So usually when you come from a small state, a lot of people, you're kind of the underdog because bigger states like Texas, Florida, California are big in pageantry. So you can be competing against 150 other girls. So usually when you come from a smaller state, people are like, oh, like it was easier to win because you compete against less people. So you're kind of a little bit of an underdog. And within the pageant, you have panel interviews. So you're with how many judges, however many judges they have that year. And you're in an interview for it can vary from like 2 to 5 minutes, sometimes even longer. And then you have gown, and then you also have fitness for teen. And then in the miss
Really?
categories, you have swimsuit. And so all of those just really help build confidence, help build your public speaking skills. You also get to talk about things that are really important to you. And it's the same thing on the national level, just on a bigger scale, because you're competing against all the other girls that won their state title. And it's also a week long instead of a weekend, because you're also doing events and you're filming and you're preparing for the show. And the stage is a lot bigger than your state title. And so it's just a crazy thing. So it's super exciting. It's pageantry is kind of its own little world, especially in Connecticut, as is every other thing like basketball or any other sport. I feel like has its own little world and its own people that are within it. So pageants is its own thing, and it's hard to get an inside look unless you're actually there watching it.
Speaking of an inside look, you know, a lot of people have mentioned Miscongeniality, the movie, when they talk about pageantry.
Mm-hmm.
What I haven't really seen this movie. I've seen some clips. One of them being, you know, there was a scene where her team left her or something, and
Mm-hmm.
so the other girls helped her get ready. So is that like one of the things that we've always taught is the fact, or we've thought is the fact that the pageant contestants are in competition, so they don't like each other. Is there any truth to that?
I feel like the camaraderie within pageants is mainly what you see. So that scene where the girls are helping her put on her makeup is something that definitely happens. I know Chesley, Miss USA 2019, she had an experience where she was competing at a state level pageant, and one of the girls she was competing with didn't this was her first time competing. She didn't know what she was doing. So all the girls backstage were helping her put on her makeup, do her hair for her, and just help her out. And I feel like you see that more often than not. Of course, there's going to be a little bit of cattiness every now and then, depending on who you walk into. I feel like a lot of the time, since the pageant's a week long, especially on the national level, you get, I guess, one side of people because you're competing, you know, people are watching you, so you have on like your smile. I feel like everybody puts on a little bit of a face when they're competing because you need to be on your A game when you're competing. And then I feel like the whole atmosphere kind of changes when it's the day of the competition. You're backstage finally for like the first time, because you're not backstage getting ready until the actual night of the show. You never see backstage. It's the first time ever. And so everybody's on like edge a little bit. So the nerves are there. People are trying to get into their zone. And where I'm backstage and I put in my headphones, listening to music, you know, doing my own thing, kind of like had a carefree feel to me. Like,
Yeah. So you said you were listening to music. You got your headphones on. All right. So before games, we all do the same thing. To calm myself down before big games, I listen to a whole bunch of stuff. I listen to calming music actually. So
mm-hmm,
like I listen to classical music. I listen to just like instrumentals.
mm-hmm.
What do you listen to?
So I had, when I was competing at nationals, I had a playlist of 4 songs, like only 4 that I listened to that
It's
whole
simple,
week.
yeah.
And the main one I remember is Chariot by Gavin DeGraw. I listened to that song on repeat, along with this song called Happier. I forgot who it's by. And I was just listening to those the whole week. They're just like kind of more upbeat, like, oh, victorious, like I'm gonna be victorious and just like feel good. I know that after I won, they had me go to the front lobby. I was sitting with my mom. Like, I finally got in the car and like was leaving my mom. They were taking me to a new hotel in a new hotel room. And they were like, what song do you want to listen to? Because it was like a 2-minute drive to the next hotel. And I was like, oh, I want to listen to Chariot by Gavin DeGraw. So like that song has held a special place in my heart, because right after I won, I was still in my gown, still in my like 6-inch heels, had the crown and sash on, like didn't have any of my stuff because they have every like people there grab your stuff for you. And so it was just kind of like this moment. And so every time I hear that, I always go back to April 28th, because my 2-year crown anniversary was actually yesterday. So
I saw that. I saw that on Instagram. That was really dope. So you won Miss Teen 2019 USA, right? And it's a historic making year because all three titles, you know,
Mhm.
Miss USA, Miss Teen USA, Miss America, they were all these titles were held by Black women. How did that feel?
It's crazy. I get like with all my interviews, I get asked this, and I still have no clue how to describe it because I always go into how I grew up. My mom's white, my dad's Black. I grew up a mommy's girl, so I wanted to be like her. I grew up wanting to fit in, went to a predominantly all white school throughout second grade to high school. And so I always wanted to fit in. So I feel like my Blackness is something I never really honed in on or really I guess I don't want to say noticed because I noticed it, of course, but just something I never really delved too deep into. So when all these articles started coming out, seeing that Miss America and Miss USA and I were all women of color, and now Miss Universe and Miss World was also all women of color, it was kind of like oh wow, this has a lot of impact. The fact
Significance,
that
yes.
we did this, and with me specifically, I was the first teen to win with naturally curly hair. And so I was like, oh, that's cool. But then it delved more into girls seeing themselves represented on stage. And I feel like that made me realize the impact that me being a woman of color, being of mixed race, the impact of what I do matters to people. And being a part of that moment, I always say I feel slightly disconnected from it because I'm the youngest out of the bunch, especially at that time. I was the youngest, still ending high school at that time. And so I had people like Chesley, Zoe, Nia to look up to, and these women that were so empowered in themselves. And I was still kind of insecure within myself and trying to figure out who I am and what I represent. So having them there and being like, wow, they did that. Like I could do that too, even though I was a part of it. I just
You
didn't feel
were.
like I was because I was looking from the outside in and seeing like, wow, if I feel like this, seeing them, then that's what other people might see looking at me as well and us as a whole. So it's still something I'm in disbelief of. And it's just been like an amazing experience to be a part of as well.
It's so cool because, you know, I will piggyback off of that. I won a championship in college,
Mm-hmm.
but this was after I had been cut from a basketball team in high school. I came to Nigeria when I was 14 years old. I came from Nigeria to America when I was 14 years old. Pick up a basketball for the first time when I was 15. Got people told me I wasn't good enough, and I got cut from my high school team. And 6 years later, or actually 5 years later, I'm here holding a trophy in college as a champion. And in some ways, it was unreal for me because I have that same disconnection from it of like, I kind of feel like you guys feel it a little bit more. I feel it a lot. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
had to work my tail off to get to this point, but people have been playing since they were 3 years old,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to get to that point. And so I kind of understand what you mean because I was like, wow, like this is a crazy, insane moment that I'm here standing with all these other people who have been working their whole lives for this. But it also shows the significance of the fact that you contributed and you're part of something, you're part of history. Your journey is incredible, right? That's why we're here telling your story. And so I think it's really important to dive deeper and to talk about it because what you've done and what you are a part of is really I think a lot of kids look at this. A lot of people will look at this and say, wow, like you are helping me be more of myself. You're part of a movement. Now, I also have another side to this, which I feel like the fact that this is such a big deal also shows how far we have to go,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I want to go back into your life a little bit. How did you start with pageants and how did you get into this whole world?
So my sister Samantha, she did pageants when we're 8 years apart. I have two older sisters. They're twins. They're 28. And Sam is the more quiet one out of all of us. and she did pageants. And so I was probably about 5 years old, and I saw her competing like in a small state pageant, and I was like, Mom, I want to do that. And my mom was like, No, you're too young. Like, she didn't want me to do it. My mom's from a small town in Iowa. She played volleyball like in college. So pageantry and the entertainment industry was something she was never knowledgeable of. And so when I was finally 8, my mom let me compete in a pageant. My sister Sam gave them up. She played basketball through college as well. She's in the military now. Pageantry was not her thing because, like I said, she's not a talker. Interview was not her best thing. And so I finally got to compete in the same small state pageant, and I just loved it because it was just fun. I got to dress up, be around a bunch of my friends, and learn stuff along the way. And I didn't see myself learning things when I was 8, but over time now I see that I've learned a lot. And so through that, I started dancing at a dance studio, which then led me to doing workshops, which then led me to being scouted when I was younger, and I started modeling and acting. And so kind of one thing just kept leading to another. And over time, my dad was like, okay, you're getting older, you're going to college soon. You should do scholarship pageants, because I was doing pageants that didn't lead to scholarships. And so I was
What do
like,
you win with
okay.
those ones?
Pardon?
With those pageants, what do you win? The ones that doesn't.
So you win obviously the sash and crown, you win a monetary prize. So you win whatever amount of money. And then you would go to nationals, but it was like their nationals. So you were competing against the other girls from different states, but it was categorized by age group. So you would have like 8 to 11, 12 to 14, 15 to 17. So it was kind of aged like that. And yeah, they kind of, I feel like pageantry has gotten smaller just overall, just because it's not something that is like broadly shared on television and stuff anymore. A lot of broadcasts of pageants aren't up anymore. So a lot of pageants are trying to fundraise so that their title holders can win more, can go out and do more for their community as well. And so the big scholarship pageants are the Miss America organization and the Miss Universe organization. So I first started in the America system. I actually competed on my state title. You have to win your county title first. So I was Miss New Haven County, went to Miss Connecticut, outstanding teen, and I ended up getting 4th runner up. So I did not win that one. I went.
Wait, before you even go into that, like,
Yeah.
what is that? What does it mean to be 4th, right? How did you feel being 4th? Does that feel like failing? What does that feel like?
I didn't feel like I failed. I knew I was going in. I looked different because I had a short little pixie cut at the time. I had just like buzzed my head. So I did not look the same as the other girls who had like the long extensions in and had been competing in that organization for a while. And I was like the new girl on the block. People were like, who is this? So I knew maybe it wouldn't work out just because I was so different. Because I feel like within pageants, sometimes the board, the bosses that are there are looking for somebody specific that they feel that can do well and represent them well. So I feel like I just wasn't necessarily their fit. And that's completely okay, because you fit in some places, you don't fit in others. And I feel like I maybe wouldn't have been fulfilled completely if I did happen to win, because yes, I won Teen USA, so I might be a little biased, but I feel like winning or getting 4th runner up there kind of showed me like, okay, this wasn't for me. I'm going to go to the next one and see if it's more my fit. And so being 4th runner up was different, because usually I wasn't expecting to win by any means. The weekend kind of felt off. And it's a weird thing with pageants. I can always tell if I'm going to do well or not, depending on how I feel within myself and how I feel like things are going around me. My mom says that when I do well, I only have one mental breakdown during the weekend, but if I have more or none, then she knows something's weird. So I was just like, I was kind of going with the flow. And the reason why I competed at that one first is because I had 2 years of eligibility left in Teen USA, while I only had one in the America system just because of the age cutoffs. So, but I still won a scholarship while I was there. So it still helped me pay for college because you win a scholarship just by entering. And then the closer you get to winning the title, the bigger the scholarship gets.
Wait, so tell me how old you are at this point.
I was.
You got the scholarships.
I was 17, I believe. Yeah, I think I was around 17, because that was their age cutoff.
That's really cool though, that you're getting a scholarship to go to university based on this thing that you're working on, especially when is that the first one where you come in fourth?
I have always made top 15, I will say, since I was younger, when I was 8. And it's hard to explain. I've always gotten top 15. Sometimes I didn't even make it to the top 5, which is fourth runner-up, second, so on, so on. And so fourth runner-up, I think, was one of the times I was close, but not there at all, which I was okay with, because sometimes being first runner-up sucks more than being lower, just because you were almost there.
Close, yeah.
And so I was okay with fourth runner-up because of that, because I was like, if I were to get first runner-up, then that, I feel like it would have just hurt more, because how close you were.
Trust
so
me,
I was okay.
I know that feeling. I've been right there and in winning and lost, so that really sucks. So from there, what do you go? So you're starting college, and you're going and you're doing pageantry still. How does that work? How does that work with your college schedule? Is that tougher?
Yeah, so I graduated late. I'm a year older than a lot of people in my grade, just because I stayed back in the first grade because I have a reading disorder. And so I was still in high school when I won the Miss Teen USA title. And so it was the spring before I graduated. And when I came back, everybody knew I had won. And because they showed it on like the morning news on the boards and stuff. So everybody knew. And from there, of course, because of all the press we were getting, it was really tough to keep up with school. But luckily, I had been doing well in school all throughout my 4 years there. So my principal and the Board of Education said that it was okay if I graduated early, which was really nice. And all my teachers agreed. And so I still walked with my entire class. I just didn't end up going to school the last 2 months. So I just had to go back, take an AP test at some random day. And I walked with the rest of my class, I'm very thankful for my school for being so understanding and being so open to helping me out.
Wait, so you won the title Miss Teen USA before you started college? Wow.
So I've had it for
a whole new experience.
Yeah. So I had it for a while because I was the longest reigning title holder. Also, I was the oldest title holder that ever won the team title, because I won when I was 18 and I gave it up when I was 20. So I had it for a while.
How is it not at the same time every year? How do you get to be the longest title holder?
Well, of course, because of COVID. So that kind of threw off when it could be held, having people in person, tests, everything, figuring all that out. So I won in April. So I was 18 at the time, and my birthday's in August. So I turned 19 a few months after I won. And then because of COVID hitting, I was left with the title for an extra 7 months, usually, from when it was going to take place. And the pageant constantly changes ever so slightly every year of when it's being held. So it can really vary. So I just got good timing, I guess, of winning my title. And so going into college was weird because people would like look at me. It was like fresh on people's news feeds. The school I go to, Southern Connecticut State University, was like putting me on their like little news shows and stuff. And so people are like looking at me and being like, oh yeah, that's her. Like, oh, is that her? Like, and whispering, and I just see them looking at me, and I'm just like this freshman, like trying to figure out where classroom A116 is, like freaking out in my head. And I remember I started working on campus as well. I started working for their social media team, and I was going into the library to use the bathroom, and some guy opened the door for me, and he was like, Miss USA. And I was like, thanks. And so it was just like awkward because I was like, I just like shy me, because I never think of myself as like someone different or someone special or someone on a pedestal. So when people would point me out for something that I did or accomplished, I get awkward and feel weird about it because I don't ever want to feel untouchable. And so that was my thing going into college, is that like I was placed separately from people, which, I mean, it sounds so bad. I feel like complaining about it or like saying something's weird about it, because I have been given such a great opportunity, but just like being me from Connecticut and then trying to just fit in college and then being placed apart because of this kind of made me feel a little off, it was weird, but I definitely got used to it.
I'll add to that because I don't think that it's weird. I think that it actually shows your humility, because when you achieve something, right? Whether it's, you know, a beauty pageant winner, or a athlete who wins something, or an actor who wins a title, an award.
Yeah.
um, you go from 0 to 100, right? You're a contestant, and then you become a champion. And so the next day, it's like, okay, I'm a champion. It's like your life doesn't really change because you're still doing the same stuff. You might get more coverage, but you're still doing the same stuff. But everybody else sees more of you now because they gravitate to the champions. They see the people who win. And so now it's like, okay, so am I supposed to act differently now? Like, how do I go to school? How was that though? How was that being in college as a do you say beauty queen? Is that the right word?
I say a title holder usually, a
Title holder.
national title holder. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And everybody knows you for having a title. So what was that feeling like? How do you make friends now? Like, you're in this did you know people already at the school?
No, not really.
Wow, this is a very interesting experience you had.
Yeah. So it was, like I said, nerve-wracking. First one, like I said, I was graduating and we were doing a lot of press and stuff. And there were some experiences I missed out on, which made me really upset. So, like senior year, I went to two high schools. I went to a regular public school and an art school at the same time. And so we had this thing called senior day at my art school. And I had been looking forward to it since freshman year. It's something everybody looks forward to because it's your day to be like celebrated. It's a lot of fun. The underclassmen set it up for you. And my manager said that we had a Oprah magazine photo shoot and told me the date. And I was like, oh yeah, that's fine. And then I looked at my calendar and I saw it was the same day as senior day. And so people might think I'm crazy for second guessing going to the Oprah magazine photo shoot because they're like, it's O magazine. Like, what are you doing? But like being where I was like, I'm both of them are once in a lifetime things.
Yes.
And it's like, I'm a teen and I still want to have teen experiences and not feel left out. And fear that I'm going to miss something that's pivotal in my high school experience. And so I had to really sit and think, and I ended up doing the O Magazine shoot. And my friends FaceTimed me and put me up on the smart board during senior day so I could still slightly be a part of the experience. But I was legit sitting in the van that was taking us to our shoot location when they FaceTimed me. And so there was some stuff like that I missed out on that gave me moments of like, wow, this kind of sucks.
Okay, let's go back to, so I want you to explain to me, what does it even mean to be a title winner of a beauty pageant, right? What is that? Is it just a crown to somebody like me that doesn't know anything?
Mhm.
Is it a crown? What happens after that? What are your responsibilities? What does that mean for your life during during your tenure?
So, of course, with every pageant system, it's a little bit different. But within the Miss Universe organization and specifically Teen USA, after you get that crown placed on your head, one, realize pageants are business, especially on the bigger scale. Everything's a business. And so you are the face, you are the brand for the amount of time that you're reigning. And so not only are you more of a prominent role model because you have this microphone now basically, for people to see you, but you are the face of the brand. You're representing what the brand wants people to see in you. And so throughout my reign, we're doing different charity events. My main thing was Best Buddies. So I got to spoke at the Best Buddies conference, which was really cool because people from all over the world come, and I held my own seminars. We went to Brazil for Smile Train. And so you're also building up other charities and organizations throughout your reign to bring a voice to those, because like I said, Miss Universe is huge. And so bringing a light to those charities also allows them to build themselves up and shows people like, hey, there are these important things that need helping. And if you need somebody that has a sash and crown to show people that, then I'd be more than okay to do that and to show people like, hey, focus on this, because I feel like sometimes people need a shove to realize the important things. And you're also working on yourself during the process, especially at the end of my reign. I was working on myself because I knew, okay, I built this platform as Miss Teen USA. And that's why I said I feel like I'm rebuilding the beast now, because I'm known for Teen USA, but I don't want that to be my legacy. I want to be more than just Miss Teen USA 2019. And so now I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, what's next? Because a lot of people know me for the pageant, but I want to grow way past that and not just have that be my one trick, you know?
That's beautiful. I've always thought that the pageant was just about the beauty part of it. That's why it was weird, because like you say beauty queen and that's what people focus on. But
Mm-hmm.
hearing that you guys also bring light to different charities and are also the spokesperson for people in need, I think that
Mm-hmm.
that's beautiful. That's what this is about. It's about using your platform to help other people. That's why I'm doing this,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you looked really stunning in the finale with your pink dress, and
Thank you.
especially with the natural curls. I know everybody asks you about that because that was what we heard, right? It was,
Mm-hmm.
you're the first one that wore your hair, the first person of color to wear their hair natural and win.
Mm-hmm.
That's a that is a it's a big deal. Like, it's a historic moment. But let's talk about hair for a second, right? What was your personal journey with your natural hair? Like, did you ever
Oh,
receive comments about not wearing it straight in the pageant world? Tell me about that.
yeah. So, like I said, mommy's girl from the beginning. So,
Mhm.
my mom has blonde, long, straight hair. And growing up, I wanted to be just like her. My mom also didn't know how to do my hair, neither did my dad. And so we went to chemical treatments to get it straightened. Also, in the sun when I was younger, my hair would get sun bleached. So I had like some streaks of hair that were really blonde, and I'd pick through them and say, like, this one's mommy and this one's mommy, and just like trying to be as much as I could like my mom. And so, since my mom didn't know how to do my hair, I constantly straightened my hair since I was like 5. And I only know of like 2 photos that I have from when I was little where you can see my natural hair. One's from a wedding where they did straighten my hair, but it was so humid outside that it did not stay straight. And the second of which is like I'm like in a diaper, like straight out of the shower. And those are the only 2 that I have because I straightened my hair for so long, or I had it tied up, or I had it in a ponytail. Growing up, I felt like I had to be either white or black because everybody was like, oh, you're too you're too
Yep.
white to be black, or oh, you're black, really? Or you don't sound like a black person. Like there was so many like little microaggressions that I didn't even understand, or I felt like I had to fit in some place, or I wasn't black enough for some people. And so it was like at that point I started realizing like I don't have to be enough of either, because like I'm dead straight in the center of both. And so there's like no way for me to be either, because I am both of those things.
It's really cool to hear you say, because one of the things I just got from that was the fact that you saw somebody else, right,
Mm-hmm.
who was thriving in that, and you're like, wow, that's just really cool. And then you said there was viral content going out of women wearing their hair straight and
Mm-hmm.
natural rather. But also, you're that person now for other people. You're the
Mm-hmm.
person that people see, right? And I think that that's really important, because you're also changing the beauty standards that women are seeing out there. It's like, yo, I can be myself, and it's just hair, yes, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also you dove into the fact that you're talking about being white or black, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is all things that you get from just your hair, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So you're also helping people find themselves, and I want to, say kudos to you for that, because that's a big deal, and that's a really important role for you to play in our society right now. So when you go into the pageant, there's not really a lot of people, or you're the first one, but there's not a lot of people out there who have been successful with their hair natural. So when you're going here as a trailblazer of sorts, what are you thinking? Are you thinking that you have a chance to win? Are you like, yo, I'm gonna do me regardless? How are you feeling?
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. Like I said, sometimes I feel like I'm oblivious to some stuff, because I didn't even realize that if I were to win, I would be the first teen winning with my naturally curly hair. I didn't know that until articles started coming out. And so going into pageants, when people would ask, like, oh, are you really going in with your curly hair? I thought it was just because, like, wearing straight hair and then doing these big curls was just what people were used to seeing in pageants. I just thought like they were saying like, "Oh, are you really going in with curly hair?" just because it's not typical. And so I was just like, I didn't even think that far into it. I just did it because I didn't want to ruin my hair again by like straightening it or putting something in it that would damage it more. And also, it was what I was comfortable with. And I slightly knew that it would make me stand out more than the competition because it was different. And sometimes different is the best thing to do. And it didn't seem like that at first because I got fourth runner up and it was so different. It didn't fit their standards, but it's like finding what is going to be best for you as well. So going into the USA system, they, I guess, kind of wanted that different. They wanted somebody that was going to be memorable, not only for the way that they speak, but also because something about them is going to be pivotal in what people see. Because of course, at first, people see your face and they make their own judgments, whether it be good or bad. And it's like, is that a good thing all the time? No, but it's what I think people do. They look at you and they make their own assumptions. And so I knew having the curly hair was going to set me apart. And that's what people remembered from the state pageant, because they have blogs about pageants, they have pageant fan Instagrams, and people were pointing me out as like favorites because of my hair. It has helped me along my journey. And like you said, it is just hair, but it does have a big impact on your life's journey and how you find yourself and how you grow within oneself.
So to people in general, but women especially, who I feel like they stand out hair wise, beauty wise, whatever, in different shapes and sizes. Do you have any words of encouragement for those women?
I feel like sometimes maybe it isn't that aspect that makes you unique, but the confidence that you gain from that aspect that makes you unique, if that makes sense. So my hair helped me grow within myself, helped me figure out more so who I am, and helped me gain confidence in myself because it made me feel different. So maybe it wasn't my hair itself that made me better. It was the confidence that I gained from that. So if somebody has their own unique trait, whether it be their hair or the way they dress or the way they look, for anybody out there that has confidence with or is gaining confidence within themselves and is finding a certain aspect of themselves unique, I would say keep honing in on that and recognize that you also don't need that aspect to be confident within yourself, because you have that confidence already. You're just seeing the light more because you have that aspect within you.
I want to switch gears for this last little part, and I want to talk about some low points in your career so far, and things that how you were able to get through and get over them, and how are you healing from different parts of your life. I was listening to an interview. I don't know. I didn't even ask you if I could talk about this, but I was listening to an interview where you said that you were sexually assaulted, and being in the position that you are in right now, and you've been able to heal, and now you're able to speak about it, and you're giving a voice to women out there who are in the same situation. What can you tell me about that? And
yeah, so that it happened when I was younger. I was probably, I want to say 7 or 8. And the thing about what happened to me was I always felt like it was invalid because it was done by another woman, which is something that you don't hear that often. And it was also done by somebody that was not a legal adult yet either. So it's always seemed different from I don't want to say the typical stories, because no story is typical, but from what a majority of sexual assault falls under, I guess. And so I was about 7 or 8, and I was a young child at heart always. I played with baby dolls till I was in my mid-teens. I just never wanted to grow up. And so at my sister's basketball games, I had baby dolls all the time, carried them around. And this person would have me go to the bathroom with them to play house. And I loved playing house. Like, that was, I liked playing house. I liked playing make believe, but they took it a step too far and would end up touching me in places that they shouldn't have. And at the time, I didn't understand. I was a child. I didn't really know what was going on. And so it happened over and over, and I never really thought anything of it. And then I want to say a few years later, maybe 2 or 3, for some reason, I was in my bedroom and I was still a kid, still didn't fully understand it, but I just broke down crying. And my mom, I was a dramatic kid as well. So my mom just thought I was being dramatic about something, and she was going to take a shower. So she was like, I'll talk to you after I finish my shower. So I was just like crying in my room, and she finally comes in, and I told her everything that happened. And I feel like I never even fully understood it until my late teens about like everything that happened. And I feel like so many parts of it I blocked out, because that's what your brain does with trauma. It blocks out a lot of it. I feel like from that, I feel like it's hard to learn something from that, because I was so young and I was so innocent, and none of it was my fault at all to realize that it was wrong. Like, I thought I was playing house, but then it's like I look back and I remember if somebody came into the bathroom, the person would tell me to stand on the toilet so it only looked like one person was in the stall. But I just thought it made sense when I was younger. I was like, oh yeah, they don't want to have 2 people in a stall, blah, blah, blah. But then I realized it was because they were trying to hide what they were doing. And so that was tough. And it was something, like I said, I blocked out in my head, and something I still think about frequently. And I feel like it's impacted my maturity and my growth and how I think of love and my sexuality as myself. And I think going off of that, the next thing that made me realize how much of an impact it had on my body and my brain, and I didn't realize it, was I saw the person 4 years ago when I was still in high school for the first time, and since it happened. And I was in the grocery store with a friend of mine, and I was like walking around. I think I was getting candy or something. I was like getting s'mores. And I'm walking and I see her and her mom. And they were like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And I didn't recognize them at first. Like, I feel like my brain was in shock. But I remember her looking me up and down, and she goes like, "Oh my God, you've changed so much," but like in her own voice and in her own way that just like made me like cringe within myself. And I still didn't fully comprehend it at first, because I was just like, I recognize your face. Why do I recognize your face? What is going on? Like, who is this person? And part of my brain was like, this is that person. But the part that was fully thinking didn't get it yet. And so we finished like our quick conversation, like, "Hey, how's your family doing? Blah, 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 fine." And then I walk away and I'm like, holy crap, like that was that person. And I told the person I was with, because I had told them earlier that like that happened to me, and they got mad. I feel like madder than I was, because I feel like I was more in shock and upset. And because I feel like that was a part of me that I had closed out of my life. But then I saw them in person, and they were growing up like I was growing up. And it was just crazy. And it's a part of myself that I have now. And I'm blessed that I'm able to speak about it now, and that it is different, because it was a woman. It was somebody that was close in age. I believe that they were around 14 when I was 8, or they were 13 when I was 8. So it's different. It was wrong, obviously, but it's something that's made me grown and allowed me to, I guess, be a person for people to come to if they need to talk about something like that, and kind of just be their safe haven, because I understand what they went through, as well as I can be their confidant in them telling me, because it's up to them with who they share that with and who they feel comfortable sharing that with. So if I can be that person for someone, it's a good thing.
How do you heal from something like this? Before
Yeah.
you've answered, I had a conversation with a friend of mine recently. Actually, we had an interview, and she went through this. You know, she's a
Mm-hmm.
model now, and she's actually making waves herself. And she talked about finally now. I think she is, you know, late 20s, 30. She is now finally, after doing a lot of therapy, doing a lot of healing on herself, now able to embrace herself fully, her sexuality, things that she didn't know were affected until she healed herself.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I guess, yeah, that's back to the question. How were you, or how have you been able to heal yourself as you go through this? Because I know that trauma shows up in different ways in our lives.
Yeah, I think honestly, for me personally, I believe it's something that you're ever continuously healing in, especially with something like that. And like I said, at first, I didn't even realize it was wrong. And so by the age that I started realizing what sex was, what personal space is, it's when I started connecting all of these things. And even throughout my younger, like tween years, I feel like I completely even forgot that situation happened, because it was just something my brain did not want me to recognize. And then it started coming back when I was like in early high school, when girls started getting crushes on people. My friends knew like guys like had little like middle school, high school crushes on me, but I like paid them no mind, because I like didn't care. I wasn't into boys at that point in my life. And they were like, they would make jokes like, "Oh, what are you, into girls or something?" And so one, that took me back, because I was like, my sister likes girls. Is that a problem? And then also it made me, I guess, gain a fear within myself because I was sexually assaulted by a female. So I was I like I can't be attracted to women because that happened to me and I was so fearful of that. And it took just time within myself to realize just because these people are making these stupid jokes and microaggressions, it doesn't mean that's who I am. And so when I started getting crushes on guys, it made me think of okay, how is this going to go? How do healthy relationships work? What is friendship supposed to look like? And it's
Oh,
something that I had to reimagine and think what is okay, what is not okay in my relationships. And
that's
so
very mature of you, by the way, because there's people who are grown and married that don't think about it that way. So I want to. That's amazing. Sorry, keep going.
yeah, and so I it it's still taking time. For me, I hate that person's name. If anybody has the same name as the person that sexually assaulted me, it's nothing against them. For some reason, I just have an instinct of I don't like that person. And I feel that's why I still feel it's something you're continuously growing from, because I do not ever want to live with hate in my heart for anyone. And so it's I feel I hold on to that little bit of madness because I didn't go to therapy after I told my mom. She tried to get me to go. I went to one session, didn't like it. So my mom wasn't going to force me into anything I didn't want to do, which I'm also very thankful for. Having a very supportive family around me was very helpful. But it's just having people throughout your time of healing and letting you know it's okay and not judging you for it. And if you do come across people that judge you for it, recognizing that that is not healthy for you and that you need to shove those people out of your life, because you have already faced something that nobody should have to face and you're healing from that, and you should not let more people like that into your life. And so it's difficult. I was in an emotionally abusive and at one point physically abusive relationship for 2 years, and they completely supported me in everything I did. I knew they loved me, I loved them, but it was not healthy love because we were depending on each other too much for stuff. And we first bonded over the fact that we were both sexually assaulted by somebody that we knew, that we considered close to us at a young age. And so although we had that love for each other, learning from my past, that love wasn't healthy. And so overall, I feel I'm healing because of time, because of having talks within myself about what has happened, what my experiences have been, and do I let those experiences freeze me in time and label me as something, and continuously moving past those. And with therapy, I think therapy is immensely helpful. And I've been looking for a good fit for a therapist for a while because I believe being able to talk and share your experiences with somebody, especially an expert that can help you get through those moments in time, is something fantastic. But at this point, just because of all my travels and stuff, when I come back from LA and I settle down probably in New York, I'm hopefully going to get a therapist that I can just talk to and hopefully grow even more in my healing and in myself from that moment, because I've gotten to the point where, yes, I can talk about it without feeling uncomfortable or without crying, but I feel there's stuff I still hold on to, but I can't get to what that stuff is because my brain has blocked out so much, if that makes sense. So healing is an ever going process, and it's something you have to continuously work on. It's just like with anything else that you want to achieve. Um, but that's where I am as of right now.
I'll tell you my journey with a therapist was when I was in college. I just went from high school playing in front of a few 20, 30 people to playing
Mm-hmm.
in front of 5, 10,000 people in college. And I would freeze on the court. Like literally, like I didn't feel like I was in control of my body.
Mm-hmm.
College coach got me a therapist at the time, and I thought it was so weird to be talking. At the time, I'm talking on the phone to this person. I don't know you. I'm telling you all my life. Like, you know, it was such a
Mm-hmm.
weird thing. He was able, even through such an impersonal basis, he was still
Mm-hmm.
able to help me switch my perspective and go deeper into my roots and understanding what it was that I was afraid of, was giving me anxiety, whatever it was that I was feeling on the court as a freshman. Fast forward to being a junior and senior, some of my best games were when I had a full house, because I always
Mm-hmm.
said I actually thrive under this pressure. And it
Mm-hmm.
is the same in the rest of my career as well. I now am somebody, I actually just talked to a family member about this yesterday, about how it's important, because one of the things we don't realize is how trauma affects us in our lives in your day to day. There's things that, you know, somebody who was attacked as a kid by a dog now as an adult still doesn't really rock with dogs. It doesn't, they, whenever you smell, like, it creates
Mm-hmm.
this sensation in you. These are things that, like, your brain doesn't understand trauma in terms of time. It doesn't understand when it happened. It just knows that, like, whenever this thing comes on, your body's fight or flight responses come on.
Mm-hmm.
So but yeah, I wanted to talk about that because I think that that's something that people, as a side that I think that it's important that people understand that we're all rebuilding through something, right? That's this.
Mm-hmm.
These are sides of us that, you know, nobody knows about, right? That we don't usually show on Instagram, but it's important that we share these things because other people are going through it as well, and we can be role models for them as we
Mm-hmm.
are healing ourselves. Okay, let's go to something fun now.
Okay.
All right. I kind of want to talk about, because we're running low on time now,
Okay.
and we really could talk about this, talk about your life story all day. Maybe there'll be a part two. Stereotypes. I have like 3 stereotypes that I need you to help me debunk
Okay.
about pageant queens and pageants in general. Number one, I kind of asked earlier, but I'll ask again. All beauty queens hate each other. True or false?
False. Um, false. Like I said earlier, like it's a competition. Everybody's gonna get in their own heads. They're gonna get nervous by the time that stage time actually comes around. But I feel like with pageantry, a lot of girls are there because they also want to make friends. And it sounds like so stereotypical and la 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 friends, they want to make friends, but it's true. Um, Girls go to make connections, not only with the staff members, not only with the people that come and watch, but with the girls themselves, because you have no clue where those girls are going to end up in the future. And like having more friends, having those more connections allows you to grow yourself and have those connections for the future. Like now, I have girls in every single state. God forbid I ever really needed a place to stay in any state. Like I have at least one person now that I could
Oh,
stay with.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
That's actually really cool that you know somebody in every state. Man,
Yeah.
that's kind of a
So
weird flex.
true. Very true. But it's like I feel like girls genuinely want to be friends. Also, if you think about it, if you win and you were the mean one throughout the entire time, like you're not going to have support behind you during your reign. And also, people can come out and say that you were mean, and then you can possibly get your title taken away. So it's like you have to remember when you're competing, you have to show what you're going to be like on in the real world, because you're going to be representing a business, you're going to be representing charities. You have to be, I feel like, a genuine person. And so, yes, you're going to come across people that are just competing strictly for the crown. and then you realize that their intentions are off, and then you kind of steer clear away from them. But I feel like majority of the girls there have good intentions. They want to do something not only for themselves but for others, and the pageant is supposed to be about empowering each other. Like, you got to think each girl has their own thing that makes them special, their own thing that they're specialists in. And sometimes there's multiple, and then you find connections among those people that you have common interests with. So I'd say false. Yes, you come across rotten apples every now and then, but majority of the time everybody's really nice.
Okay, we are rebuilding the thought, we're debunking stereotypes of beauty queens and pageant title winners.
Title holders, yeah.
Title holders. Stereotype number 2: beauty queens or pageant title holders are dumb.
No, completely false. Oh, I hear this one all the time. But now
Trust
the thing
me,
is,
I'm an athlete. I hear that too. So we have to debunk the stereotypes.
exactly. Like, I feel like even now, like I said, Miss America is changing their portions of competition, and in any pageant, all the girls have something that is their platform, we call it. So like mine's We Are People First. Ezeli had Dress for Success. Some people have about empowering women in STEM. And so there's so many different things. And usually your grades and what you accomplish within your academic career has an impact in some pageants on your overall score. So a lot of the pageants I did growing up, you had to submit your grades because that was 10% of your score. And so people don't realize, like, your academics has a big part of it. And especially because a lot of these pageants are scholarship pageants for college. So these girls can't use the money anywhere else besides to further their education.
Why
So
have we never heard of this?
I don't know. And so they're working for their education, and they're so, like, Chesley, Miss USA 2019, my year, she's a lawyer. She was a lawyer before pageants and all of that. A lot of women, I know Miss South Africa for Miss Universe 2 or 3 years ago, she is a medical professional. Like, there's so many people that are doing these different spheres of these higher jobs, which is like amazing. And I feel like people don't even realize that we have doctors, lawyers, scientists, like these crazy things that people don't even think of because they're like, oh, it's a beauty pageant, it's about looks, when it's not. Like, it's so much more than that. And these women are competing to further themselves, not to further the way they look, because they're going to look the way they look no matter what. And so, like, me personally, I'll shout myself out. Like, I've been on the dean's list for all my years in college. I've had straight A's. I have a 4.0. I went to 2 high schools at the same time. And so it's like, we're all doing these things to further ourselves and our education and where we are in life. And so we are educated, plus we have the view of being a woman and all of the stuff that comes with being a woman, and all the stuff you need to know about not only protecting yourself, but just about the world around you and the way the world perceives you as a woman. So not only are we book smart, but we're also street smart, just from being ourselves and being within our own body.
There we go. Okay. Last stereotype is the fact that a lot of beauty queens, pageant title holders, I'm sorry, I wrote it down.
It doesn't matter.
A lot of winners of beauty pageants they were forced at a very young age to get into this industry, and maybe eventually got to love it. But is that true that usually you start off as a young age and you're forced into it? Were you forced into it?
No, I was definitely not forced into it. I think with that stereotype, a lot of the time it isn't true. Yes, I've heard sometimes that, like, people get into pageants because whether their mom or their dad wants them to get into it. But I feel like by the time those people that were kind of, I don't want to say forced, it sounds so like harsh, but like made to do pageants, I feel like by the time they're teens, they're at the point where they can say no, that they don't like that. And that's what I've seen. I've seen girls that I like grew up that were a little bit younger than me doing pageants, and now they're not doing pageants at all, completely not their thing. And their parents supported that, which is very, very nice for them, because of course you're not going to get that with everything. Myself personally was not forced into it. Like I mentioned, my mom's from a small town in Iowa of 300 people. Pageants, entertainment industry, not her thing at all. My sister did basketball her whole life. Chantel did horseback riding. And so I was the odd one out that wanted to be on stage and for the spotlight to be on them. And also, you don't need to get into it at a young age. I know Chesley didn't start at a young age. She started later teens. Some people do their first pageant when they're already in their 20s. And so I think it just depends on everybody's personal experience. And by the time you get to those older ages, you realize those are the people that actually want to be there, because over time, the younger age groups are pretty big because parents put their kids in stuff to see what their avenue is. But by the time people grow up, they start picking off because they realize this isn't for me, or I like soccer instead, or I like this sport, or I want to do this. So by the time you get to your older years, like those are the people that want to be there, and this is their niche of what they want to do. So no, I don't think so. I don't think people are forced into it. I think it's the same thing as when a parent puts their kid in dance or puts their kid in soccer. It's more so to help them figure out what their thing is as a kid and what they're gonna kind of steer towards as they grow up.
Last couple questions. This one is, where do you see yourself in the next year to 5 years? I know for myself, I've been working my tail off to get on the court, and so my dream is to play ball again. But then I also want to use my platform, like I'm doing right now with the podcast, with different people who I've met along the way. They've asked me, because I've been so focused on basketball that I haven't seen the other things. Like I just, my mind is just this one thing. But I'm like, there's different things that I can do with this platform to help people, to increase, I don't know, awareness of different projects. So my goal in 5 years is also to have this be bigger, to have other things where I'm doing things with my platform to help. Do you have goals for your 1 year, 5 years? How does that work?
Yeah. So for me, like I said at the way beginning of this is a big period of unknown for me right now. And so that's stressful when it's within itself. But like thinking of the best possible outcome, I guess I hope to be signed with a New York agency as well as my LA one. By actually this summer, I'm hoping to sign with a New York agency while I'm out in LA, and either living in New York or LA full time. That's like down the line. And it's not even, I guess it's not even fame that I'm striving for. I'm just striving for success. And I feel like fame and success are very different within my own field. Be able to financially support myself, be able to give back to my family, because they are doing so much for me right now with all my moving, with helping me pay for stuff, with helping me get through and traveling so much. So I'd love to have a secure place where I'm staying, wherever that may be able to be successful and financially support myself. Hopefully in 5 years, I'm hoping I'm stable enough where I can have a dog. I would love to have a dog. I need a friend. So
be careful what you wish for, man. We just got a Frenchie, and this dog right here, boy, man. Matter of fact, one brother got a cat, and another brother got a dog. So we have a whole animal planet over here in the house. So I'm looking for, if you know somewhere where I can get a giraffe just to complete this, you just please let me know. But yeah, no, it's fun. It's fun to have that love around the house as well. And I like that plan. I like the plan of being financially independent and just being on your own and all that. This is my favorite question. It's usually my last question.
Okay.
If you could talk to young Kaliegh.
Okay.
Just about, this is what Rebuilding the Beast concept is, guiding people, the younger people who are maybe going the same path you are in, people who are interested in it. If you could talk to your younger self, what would you tell her about this journey ahead? The journey of, going into a pageant and winning and making friends in college, and even through the time of, when you're crying, you break down in front of your mom. What would you tell her in that moment about what life has to offer and the things to come?
Oof. I wish I had like a future self talking to myself right now, because I feel like I need one. But I would tell myself, one, this is kind of jokingly, because when I was younger, I told my mom, I think I was like 4, and I was like, Mom, when I grow up, I know I'm going to be famous, but how famous do you think I'm going to be? And I told her that when I was young. And so I go back and tell myself, you'll be your own version of famous. But it's not everything that you think fame entails. And I would tell myself fame and success are different, and you should strive for success within your career and within yourself. And things will be tough. Life is filled with ups and downs, but it's not worth focusing on those downs too much, because then you miss out on all the highs and you start to only see the downs as well. I would tell myself people are going to come and go out of your life, and each of them are going to teach you a lesson. So when they do leave your life, don't necessarily take it as a bad thing, because yes, you're going to feel hurt, you'll feel pain, maybe you'll be even happy that they left, but take it as a learning lesson, and remember things happen for a reason, and everything is neither good or bad. It's just how you see it. And so I would tell myself to keep looking at situations and seeing both sides of stuff, to realize that not everything is good nor bad.
So where can we find you, and where can people support you as you're going on this new journey and check you out over there with Wilhelmina in LA?
Oh my goodness. You can follow me on Instagram if you want. It's at Kaliegh Garris. My name's spelled Kaliegh. It's a weird spelling of Kaylee, but you can find me on Instagram. All of my handles are at Kaliegh Garris. That's basically it. You could shoot me a like, send me a message. I tend to message back people if they need advice or they ask questions. I think it's fun. And yeah, just let me know what's up, that you're there and that you're enjoying what I'm posting, because I'm trying to figure out what people want me to post. But yeah,
I'm trying to figure it out, y'all. Come on.
I know. Give me some advice. I need like people to tell me what they want so I can do it. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Thank you so much. All I had to do was ask, and you're like, yeah, for sure. So I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. I think a lot of people can hear from you. Future Kaliegh has to come back on and give advice to this Kaliegh, like you said.
Okay. I'm down for that. I would love to see the difference between the two. Also, like, I just need to like figure out what my life's doing. So I would love to do that. It would be great. And thanks for having me. I needed your words of advice and your little sermon that you said you gave, especially right now with all this change happening. But I'm glad I could join you.